Foremost, as soon as your participants enroll on the tour, I suggest that they get their passports. A lot of your students you'll find haven't traveled outside of the country before, so this will be their first passport, or they may have traveled outside of the country a few years ago and may no longer have a valid passport. So with the amount of time it can take to get a passport, it's really important to get that as soon as possible and get the ball rolling with that application process. Second, you'll want to check for visa requirements. Most of our destinations do not require visas, but if you have any students who are non-US citizens, you'll definitely want to suggest that they check in with their home consulate and see if there are any sort of visa requirements for their travel destinations. Some of our destinations also require a parental authorization form for any of your participants who are 18 or younger. Those destinations would be Mexico, Costa Rica, and Brazil. So if you're traveling there, talk to your tour consultant about that parental authorization form. Also, make sure to enroll your free places on time. For 2009 tours, you'll need to have them enrolled 99 days prior to the departure, but for 2010 tours, it'll be 110 days prior to departure. Now, to go into a bit of a story about that, I know it seems kind of implausible that people would forget to enroll their free places, but it does happen. And just a few years ago, we had a group leader who had 40 students traveling with her, and she looked at her group status report just a few days before her tour was going to depart and called her tour consultant because something was off, and she asked, why isn't Miss Miller and Miss Resnick, why aren't they enrolled on the tour? And the tour consultant said, well, you need to tell us who your free places are, and you didn't do that. We didn't know that you had any chaperones with you. And so EF had to hustle and get those people tickets. We were able to get them tickets, we were able to get them on the tour, but by that point it was too late for us to get them on the same flight and to even switch people around between flights. So that teacher had to fly over to Europe alone with the 40 students while the other chaperones were on a separate flight. So this is incredibly important to make sure that you get your free places enrolled on time. And playing into that as well, make sure to keep us abreast if you're enrolling any sort of late additions. So if you're enrolling anyone beyond 110 days prior to the departure of the tour, make sure to let your tour consultant know. So we realize how daunting a lot of this seemed with the recruitment process. It is a lot of work on your part, but I can promise we're not going to hang you out to dry. EF has a lot of resources that we can use to help you. So I'll talk about a bit of the resources that we've got, our fundraising team, and then also we're going to get towards tips from an expert. As Sukari mentioned, we've got Mr. Smith here. He's traveled with us for 10 odd years, and he is a great resource. The most important section of resources that you'll find for your group are online resources. And you can go to the EF Tours website at eftours.com, and we've got resources for everyone. We've got resources for you as a group leader, for your students, and also for the parents. So on your group leader website, you'll find important details such as your final travel details, so your flight details, your itinerary details. You'll also be able to email your group in case there are any sort of meetings coming up or anything like that, send them reminders. And then also you'll have destination information, which is really helpful. Also on there, I mentioned the group status report earlier. You'll be able to actually see which of your students are enrolled, where they are with their payments, and if they're behind at all, which with AutoPay they can't be, but it's important to keep abreast of that situation. On the student website, we've got a lot of great resources. One of the ones that I'm most excited about this season is our Life on Tour reality series. We actually got the same people who did The Real World to make a reality series for us. It's a 10-part video series. Episodes are about 2 minutes apiece, so they're really short, quick, and easy for your students to look at, and it follows a group throughout their tour in Europe. Also, we've got social networks such as Facebook right now, and once again, destination information. So if you're traveling to Costa Rica and your students are wondering what the exchange rate is, what type of outlet adapters they'll need to get, what the weather is like in the rainy season and the dry season, they'll be able to find out all that information. And then finally, we've got the parent website, where they can find out information about EF, find out about the safety and security that we can provide to the students. And also, on that website, they can look at the EF Tour link for our European destinations. They will actually be able to look at pictures of the group as they travel through Europe and also see the itinerary and know where they are on tour. EF's consistently rated one of the greenest companies in the greater Boston area, but we do still mail out some resources, and we do mail these out because they're incredibly important for you to have. The first is the Countdown to Travel book. This will help you to keep on top of important dates and deadlines in the tour planning process. There's also the Traveler's Handbook, which, as I see it, is kind of a countdown to travel booklet for the students and the travelers on the tour. That will have also important dates and deadlines, but in addition to that, they'll have things like sample packing lists and destination information. There is an administration booklet that you can use if you have any hurdles to run over with your administration, if they're a bit skeptical about liability or academic content. And then finally, a fundraising guide. So does everyone remember what EF stands for?
Education first.
Yes, yes. And the emphasis is on education. We've got a ton of educational resources. The one that I am absolutely most proud of is our accreditation. EF is actually accredited by CETA, which is the association that most likely accredited the schools that you teach at. And because of that accreditation, we are able to offer academic credit to your students on the tour, and also professional development credits to you as teachers. In addition to our accreditation, we also have a partnership with PBS. So currently we have over 1,500 lesson plans on our website. So if you're interested in teaching your students anything before the tour or on the tour, those are great resources. We've got a partnership with Apple, so the students can get iTunes content. We've got playlists of music from the different countries they might visit. And we've also got little snippets of the language, sample audio walking tours, and all kinds of great stuff that they can upload to their iPod. We've got advanced placement tours running anywhere from AP English Literature all the way to AP Chinese Language. And we've got Model UN tours and a photo journal. This is a great post-tour tool for you. You as teachers will get a free 30-page photo journal. It's a great way to kind of organize your memories from the tour, and it serves as a great recruiting tool further on down the line. Now, we at EF realize that with the state of the economy right now, fundraising is becoming more and more important to our groups. So has anyone here led a successful fundraiser? Sandy, are you raising your hand there?
No, I've been thinking about it. I think it would help, but I don't really know anything, what to use or what to do.
Okay, and Gina, have you led one?
Well, I come from a really small town, so it's really hard for us to fundraise there, so I really haven't had any successes.
Okay, all right, well that's perfectly understandable. Well, we do have a great fundraising team in the office, and some of the examples that they've given us of fundraisers are fantastic. And also, having traveled around on the road and met with teachers all over the country, I've come across some great ones myself. My favorite being a group that I met with in Helena, Montana, and the group leader was often running athletic tours down to Australia. And if anyone has traveled to Australia before, they know how much more expensive it can be than your Latin American or European destinations. It's often $1,000 more expensive or more for each participant. So to fundraise for a tour like that, it can be a lot of hard work. But what this teacher would do is schedule some sort of a community service project. The specific one that she chose was to clean up a park in the city. She knew that it would take 4 hours for her group to clean that park up, so she had each participant in the fundraiser go door to door, talk to family, friends, neighbors, and also local businesses, and have them pledge a certain amount of money per hour of that community service project. And just at the meeting that I went to, one student walked into the meeting and had canvassed her neighborhood just for 2 hours prior to the meeting and came in with an envelope containing $250 in checks. This teacher said it's not uncommon for her students in the past to have fundraised the entire price for the Australia tours. But we realize that's not necessarily possible. That's really a lofty goal, and she's got an incredible success story, but in certain communities that may not be the case. But we've got a lot of great resources for you. So some things to consider when you're getting started with your fundraising process. First and foremost, you want to set a goal. As I mentioned, her goal was to raise the purchase price for an entire trip to Australia, but as I said, that's a bit lofty.